know, sometimes this can be a little frustrating. On my last video, I brushed the calligraphy Jakunen Fudo. That means serene, immovable. In these types of videos, when I brush a calligraphy, what I want to show you is the process that I go through when I brush one of those pieces. Having the camera on definitely brings a little bit of pressure to do a calligraphy that is worthy of filming. To tell the truth, probably most of the best calligraphies I've ever brushed, I don't have a video of it. I did not have the camera on. I use this exercise of filming what I'm brushing also to try to overcome this issue that sometimes with the camera on, I cannot brush as good as when I have the camera off. And that was exactly the case in the last video that I brushed of this calligraphy, because the one that you see on the video, it's not the best one of that batch. This is the calligraphy that I'm talking about that I brushed on my last video. Is Jakunen Fudo. And it's not bad. I like it enough to make a video about it and show it to you. I brushed it a few times and I was having a hard time kind of getting it nice and tight, getting it on a straight line. So sometimes some of the characters were higher than others, which is not good. They all have to be in a straight line. Now, this is something that has happened to me a few times, and it really frustrates me when it does, because most of the time it happens with a calligraphy that I'm fairly satisfied with. I'm pretty happy with the way the calligraphy came out, and I'm good with it. I'm gonna sign it. I put the stamps on it, and then one of the stamps, or one of the hanko, will bleed into the paper and create a big red blotch. That, to me, that ruins the calligraphy, because the stamps, the seals, are part of the calligraphy. And if they are bled, or you cannot read them, or they just looks like one big ink spill, to me, that's an eyesore, and it ruins the calligraphy. And it happened on that calligraphy from that video. So when I was about to stamp it, or when I did stamp it, the damn thing bled right in that piece there, and it created that big red blotch. You can kind of see it on the video when I put the stamp that it was going to bleed on that spot, but I didn't think it was gonna get that bad. Now, if you're asking why this happened, in my experience, a lot of times happens because when you have a stamp, you have the ink path, and you basically tap the stamp on the ink path and then you imprint. If you add too much ink sometimes, you press in too hard, that ink, it'll get into the crevices of the carving and then solidifies over time. If you see the stamp, I don't know if it'll be able to focus. All right, you can see it now. So if you see, these letters are carved and the letters are sticking out, and then the background is what's sunken in. So what happened is that the ink should only stay on the surfaces of the letters. It should not go into the crevices of the carving, and if it does, it's because you're pressing too hard, which is probably what I'm doing. Of course, you prevent this by cleaning the stamps regularly, which I do. Every time I stamp it, I stamp it dry on a piece of paper, on a piece of cloth, to clean it up a little bit, and then that helps out. But it's over time, when you use it over and over again, sometimes that happens. Now, that was not the only thing that frustrated me about that last video of that calligraphy. After I turned the camera off, I had a little bit of ink still left on the brush. Why not brush the same thing that I was brushing? Well, now when the camera was off, I brushed this one, and in my opinion, it's a lot better than the one that got filmed. What I think is better is, if you look at this one, is a lot fluid. It feels free. It feels that it's very unified, like all the characters feel like they are together. This one, to me, feels a little stiffer, a little bit too careful, like too worried. This one is definitely free, and it is free because it's free from the worry of having to be filmed. So I'm not sure what the takeaway of this video is, except that I wanted to share with you that sometimes, even for me, these things can be really frustrating, because you are trying to accomplish something, you want to try to brush something a certain way, and it just doesn't happen. And then it does happen when you don't want it to happen, in this case, when the camera was off. The way that I practice Japanese calligraphy is that I believe that the practice is to capture your state of mind in that moment that you are yielding the brush. And it can be frustrating because the state of mind that you want to portray is not the one that is showing. And I think that's sometimes the fight, is that I want it to be a certain way, but it's not coming a certain way because my mind is this way right now, not the way that I want it to be. So there I'm fighting with myself. I know some people might not be bothered by the blotch in the stamp, that they think that it's just part of the calligraphy. It was what happened, it is what it is, right? So it's the natural showcase of that piece. And that's probably the case, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't mean that aesthetically I think it's an eyesore. To be honest with you, it's something that I would probably consider not be sellable. Like, I wouldn't sell that calligraphy for that reason. I only would sell it if the stamps print the way they're supposed to. Because of those requirements that I have set on myself, a lot of times I brush these many times before I choose the one that I'm thinking to myself, this is the one that I'm going to sell. That's it for this one. I just wanted to give you a little sneak peek behind the scenes to show you that Japanese calligraphy can be very frustrating sometimes. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.